And now I'm delighted to actually be moderating the next session, and these are some wonderful industry friends of mine who are going to join to the stage. Most of them, I think, have actually spoken here at ITB Berlin before. And really, we are going to be talking a little bit about embracing inclusivity for growth, right? So this session really endeavors to look at tourism as a powerful driver, and in order to get to its full potential, we really must ensure that it's accessible to all. And I think we spoke in our catch-up call a couple of weeks ago that inclusivity is often seen as an added effort, if you like, rather than a business imperative. Well, that's a big, big mistake. So this is what we're going to dive into, and also talk about some really, really great examples of how these three wonderful people are addressing the challenges that we are faced with. So I will, without any further ado, invite my panel to the stage. I have, first of all, Olaf Schlieper of the German National Tourist Board. Please, Olaf, come and take a seat. And then I have Neha Arora from Planet Able. Please, Neha, come along. And I have also, I'll sit here, please, if that's okay. And then I have Klaudija, last but not least, Klaudija Janzelj, who is with TUI in their Tours and Activities Experience Department. So thank you very, very much for being here this morning. Shall we give them a warm hand, please? Thank you. Now, inclusivity making sense to your business. When we spoke a couple of weeks ago, I asked if Neha might kind of kick us off here, because we really want to look at, first of all, we want to look at this from a business perspective. Let's be very practical. Everybody wants to know what's in it for us, how are we going to make more money? That's fine. If we can make both good money, but also be much more inclusive, then surely it's a no-brainer. That's what we were thinking. So, Neha, may I go to you first and ask you to set the scene a little bit for us? Why does it make sense to give a damn about the situation, if you like?
So, well, before we talk about like how big the market is or the business potential, let's look at how many people does this market include. So we are talking 1.3 billion people with disabilities all over the world, and plus 1 billion people over 60. Half of them have a disability. And when you include their friends and families, it's like 25% of the world population holding $13 trillion of disposable income. But is the industry really creating products and services for them? That is the question. I mean, we have over 700,000 hotels. We have over 100,000 museums all over the world. And we have so many online transactions, like 68% of them are done online. But how many of them are accessible to these people? So it is like a big business opportunity that is lying in front of every one of us, and we are not taking it. I mean, when I started, almost more than 9 years ago, I was myself not convinced whether it could be a big business potential. But over the years, we have realized disabled traveler actually spends 30% more money than a non-disabled average traveler.
Oh, there you go.
So it's like if you are being inclusive and accessible, you are actually tapping into 30% more money and revenue for your business.
Absolutely. And Olaf, I see that you are nodding away there. Do you have maybe some insight that you could share around this area as well?
Yes, definitely. We also emphasize this, that there is a huge business potential, because travelers with disability normally do not travel alone. They are having carers, friends, family, school groups, choirs, sports teams, whatever, traveling together with them, and they're having a hard job planning this trip because you have special needs, you know, and that's why people with disability often stick to a destination or to a tourism project. The travel planning process was quite more complicated than for a normal traveler, but if you are satisfied, you may come back. You know, you have satisfied travelers, and the word of mouth, I think, in this target group is quite well. They were good connected and give advice to each other. Well, this worked well, and do not go there, you know. So it's a reputation thing on the other hand, and it's good business because they're not traveling alone normally.
Yeah. I think this maybe leads us very nicely into one of the initiatives, Klaudija, that you're involved with. We spoke a little about the touring, the tour guiding experiences, or academy as it's called, which I think is led by Women in Travel, which is an organization where you serve as a director. This helps really sort of put together meaningful experiences for all sorts of travelers. Can you sort of tell us a little bit more, please?
Yeah, so Tour Guiding Academy is a program of social enterprise women in travel that I've been involved now for several years as a business mentor, where they...
Just a second. We don't want to miss this, so we might give you some added
It seems like
equipment.
Since the get-go, I had problems with the mic. Yeah, so it's a program that trains, mentors, and supports women from difficult and different background, how to become guide storytellers, and how to tell their story and turn their story into an experience, into a viable and commercial tour. As I said, this program started just after COVID, where we were all searching for a meaningful connection and something positive. And we really wanted to support the women that were really affected by COVID to find a way how to support themselves, how to become micro-entrepreneurs. And this particular program teaches women about tourism and travel industry. Usually they are coming from a background that never had access to tourism or have no idea about tourism industry. We teach them how to really create stories, how to turn their story into a viable tour itinerary, how to market the tour, what makes it a great tour guide, storyteller, and at the end support them to really sell this particular tour. And I have to say that from perspective of me being employed by TUI in tourism, travel and tourism sector, from the get-go, when I joined, the inclusivity really comes from within the company, that champions, that gives me the loyalty, the belonging, that I am able then to support social enterprise like Women in Travel and support women to enter this great industry, travel industry.
Fantastic. Yes, it's all about a lot of things, but it is certainly about also working out, how you best give something back. I mentor myself and have mentored younger women for a number of years, and now I only mentor younger men because I think that that's where maybe the shift will happen, as it were, or at least we can help each other in the right direction. Olaf, I want to talk a little bit about the German tourist board, because I know that you collaborate with a lot of international partners, and so I want to know, what does the role in events like you mentioned this Accessible Tourism Day? What's the point of that, and why does it make a difference? Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, tomorrow we will have the Accessible Tourism Day at IDB in the City Cube, a whole day covering different aspects of accessible tourism. So you are invited to come there. It will start at 10:30 a.m. and it will last 6 hours until 4:30 in the afternoon. So if you're interested, you're welcome to come. It's the 13th Accessible Tourism Day. That means for 13 years we are addressing this topic. And in a way, we are still talking about the same stuff. Mm-hmm. It's not that nothing happened, but it's still a very long way to go to convince people. And I'm glad that we have so many young people here, because it's very important to sensitize and train staff in tourism in an early stage so that they know that it's really a business potential, but it's also necessary to have the right knowledge to understand the needs and to address the needs of people with disability needs in a professional way on the one hand. That means you have to train the staff on all levels, decision makers as well as people working at the reception wherever. They all should know about the needs of wheelchair users, deaf people, blind people, people with allergies, Do you think I'm disabled? I mean, I came here, I came from Hub 27, all the way through different halls. I could walk, I could see everything, I could hear everything. But do you think I have a disability?
No.
Yes,
There you go.
several. I use glasses. Without my glasses, I wouldn't have made it easily. I couldn't drive a car. I have allergies. I really have to think about what I eat. And I have a skin problem. I can't expose my skin to sunlight for a long time. So even for me, it's a planning process where I go as a tourist. You know, and so knowledge is very important. It's not just the wheelchair user. We see often also in the science, you know, the target group has a huge variety and combinations of disabilities. And if it comes to inclusion, it can be even more combinations. You can have a black people being gay sitting in a wheelchair with different needs. And so even it's a wider picture we should address, but even it's complicated enough to just focus on people with disabilities as we have it in a more focused definition. Yeah.
I like that. It is very much step by step, but the better we get, the more we will understand that there's so much in this. Again, back to Angelica's keynote there on abled and not, as it were, and also the apparent and the non-apparent. We want to talk a little bit, I want Neha to come back to you. We wanted to also talk a little bit about the public and the private sector working together, because we need one another, right? We need this partnership to actually come together. And I wonder if you can sort of elaborate a little bit on that, what your thoughts are, and if you have some examples of where this might be working particularly well.
Okay, so...
Small question for you.
No, I mean, the thing is, we all need each other, and if we are looking at building an inclusive world or an inclusive travel or hospitality industry, collaboration is the key. But the problem that has been over the years is the public institutions have laws, they have compliances, and the private institutions do follow those laws and do comply. And they claim, hey, we did everything, we are compliant with everything, and we are done. Don't ask anything more out of us. So the whole focus is on legal compliance instead of being customer-centric. Like, as a disabled consumer, having a disability visible or invisible, just to add, I have an invisible disability myself. But then the whole focus is legal compliance, not on being a customer. And as much as the public institutions have to build policies, have to build laws, but the private industry have to have internal leaders that drive the change for accessibility and inclusion. You need to have disabled people in the leadership to drive that internally. You cannot just do one project, hire an external consultant who is perhaps an academic, having no idea about what the real ground reality is, which happens in most parts of the world. And in emerging countries, they are not even proper consultants, to be honest, who are even exposed to cross-disability dynamics. Like they say, oh, we are experts on wheelchair accessibility, we'll help you with that, and done. Like you go to, we are experts on digital accessibility, we are done. But then you cannot have this one-dimensional approach and talk about an industry or public-private institutions working together to drive that change. You have to have a holistic outlook, a holistic policy in which people with disabilities are involved. Like in 2023, we did a stakeholder consultation at United Nations Vienna. Olaf was also there. And the biggest finding was what an establishment or an industry or institution considers that we are doing everything right and we are meeting all the requirements, but the disabled consumers' needs are not being met. So the room had all stakeholders from the industry and people with lived experiences from developed countries and emerging countries. Yeah. You need to also understand, if we are looking at a global level, the dynamics of developed and emerging countries are very different. The challenges and the solutions, they are all very different. And if we are looking at these partnerships and collaborations and focusing on building an industry, we need to work together, learn from each other. There are good things in both types, and drive it internally. I mean,
absolutely.
until and unless, like, also intersectionality, you cannot just say, oh, this person, we focus on women at the moment, we focus on LGBTQ plus at the moment, or we focus on disability at the moment, or we focus on race. There could be one person having all of these and more.
Yeah, exactly.
So
there's some fantastic insights there. Well, both Olaf and Klaudija were nodding away. I wonder if, Klaudija, you might have some examples of partnerships between the sort of private sector.
I really support what you're saying, that change happens from within the company, within individual, as us, as employees, as leaders. And great example from the TUI world and TUI group is actually TUI Academy. I think Academy exists since the beginning of TUI, particularly in their main source markets in Germany and UK. But what I feel they did a great job going forward in the last few years is they introduced the academy in the developing world, in the countries that not necessarily knows about TUI, or it's not TUI-centric in terms of the customer. So we're looking at Vietnam, we're looking at Dominican Republic, we're looking at Zanzibar, African countries, where together with the public sector, NGOs, tourism boards, they get together to find communities that would not necessarily have the possibility of the education or have the possibility to enter the travel industry. And where the great outcome of this is that the graduates have the possibility to be employed by TUI or be employed by their partners, suppliers, or even start their own company as entrepreneurs. So not championing, in our Western world that we have all these opportunities, but really looking beyond where maybe not necessary as a company you have commercial benefits at the beginning.
Yeah, that's absolutely key to moving that needle. Back to you, Olaf, and we were talking about the day again tomorrow that you're going to be hosting. You are representing are you public sector?
Yes.
That would be you. Thank God I got that right. But anyway, so tell us a little bit about some of the partnerships that you are seeing shaping or that you might be personally also involved with as far as the German National Tourist Board is concerned.
Yeah, developing accessibility in a destination is a long way because you need a network of partners, suppliers, destination management, politicians supporting you. It took us years to have this knowledge on all levels, but now, in Germany we don't have a national tourist board being responsible inside Germany. Tourism is separated on the shoulders of 16 federal states.
Yeah, of course.
And so now, after many years, every federal state has at least one person being in charge of accessibility, full-time. And this helps a lot to develop accessible products and to promote them together, to go together on fairs or exhibitions or congresses like the Destination for All Congress, which will take part in Turin in Italy in October. So if you're interested, we will be one of the major supporters of this event, and we will come with delegates from the German regions and suppliers to be there and to give answers, to inform about accessible tourism products in Germany. But at this Accessible Tourism Day a couple of years ago, you will know him, we had Christopher Patnaud from Google. And he told us the story of Google if it comes to accessibility, starting with this one guy being in charge of accessibility, and then they spread it out through the whole company, do regular training to sensitize the staff. And the same happened to our company and organization. We did a lot of training. According to being a public-funded organization, we have to follow strict rules. We have to be accessible for years now if it comes to legislation. But we had some surprising moments. For example, the people being in charge of digital communication said, well, everything okay, our website is accessible. And I said, hey, yeah, okay, maybe, but we have questionnaires, we have newsletters, we have invitation software, we have chatbots, we have AI systems. We have augmented reality, mixed reality, virtual reality systems. Are they accessible as well? And we had an expert in the house to check everything, and of course not, you know. So we had to improve the channels, and we learned that we lost audience because the programming was not proper. And now, I hope everything is accessible for everybody. But that took us years to understand the need to look at all your channels, even the analog advertisement, like normal posters and roll-ups and so. Are the contrasts okay? Is the size of the letters okay?
Yeah, yeah.
And so on. So you have to focus on that on a broad perspective. You have to sensitize your staff, train your staff, perhaps get experts in the house, and please develop your products and services together with the target group. Nothing for us without us. You know, so we ask wheelchair users and blind and deaf people, is this virtual reality solution okay, or do we have to adjust things, or the website, or even the fam trip, you know? Is it accessible? Where can we improve, you know? It's a steady process, and with young people coming in the company, we always have to start again the training and to keep this flame burning, you know.
Yeah. So by looking at our own organizations first and foremost, hopefully, we should be able to actually look at how we bring that across the line into the offering to any of our travelers out there. I want to go off script a little bit because I'm enjoying this a lot, so sorry about that, but here we go. The training part of it, I just want to hear the ladies as well here, because I know you're involved in your individual initiatives, but also in general. How do you actually see that needle moving? Because I don't know. I am struggling to see that we're doing this at any great speed. But maybe you can bring some positives to this bit of it, and maybe some suggestions.
Sure. I mean, so what we have seen over the years is a severe lack of training, and even the willingness to do that training is the problem, and even to invest in that training. And over the years, whatever trainings that have existed in a very, again, like a single-dimensional model, like one disability focus, or it is only about built environment accessibility, the buildings, or it is only about digital accessibility, your websites and mobile apps. That's about it. And this is also, we are talking in, say, Europe or US, because the laws are there, or the European Disability Act comes into force in June 2025. So everyone is now getting panicked about digital accessibility. What do we do? And US is, of course, ahead of the curve, but there is still so much they can do, because inclusion or accessibility is not something you do it and close the box and you're done. We are accessible. No, it doesn't work like that. It's a journey. You have to keep on going. You have to keep on improving. And there are use cases that keeps on coming. And what lacks, especially in the tourism industry, is the on-ground experience of the trainers. Most of it is pretty academic. Most of it, I like nothing against the academicians, they're great. But you have to know what is happening at the ground when, say, a deaf person is checking in. Or what is happening when a blind person is making a payment. Or how they are navigating a resort by themselves. Yep. Or how is a wheelchair user being treated by the staff. The building could be completely accessible. But then if the staff doesn't know the right body language or the right verbal language, like you pointed out, it's all a waste. It's not being accessible. Yep. So it has to complete the whole like circle of built environment, digital, information, communication, and human accessibility. Yep. And you cannot choose one in between that. And each training has to be holistic, covering all disabilities. Like, we always talk about accessibility being wheelchair users.
Yeah, I know.
That's less than 10% of the disabled population. Great. Like, what about the 90% of the people?
Yeah, absolutely.
So we used our own experience of operating on the ground to make destinations, hotels, museums accessible by design. Because even as a travel service provider, we have had to train everyone right from the first day, whether it's a driver, storyteller, or a hotel staff. Like, these are like every touch points of the customer journey. The trip does not start when they reach a destination.
No.
The trip starts when a person thinks, hey, I want to travel.
Yeah.
Can they find the appropriate travel content accessible to their needs to make an informed decision? Can they go to a platform where they can book it by themselves without anyone's need? Can it be as seamless as or smooth as a non-disabled traveler? Can they just decide on a Friday evening, hey, let me book a ticket for like 12 a.m. on a Friday and go for a weekend getaway?
I bet we're a little bit off that yet. But this is definitely what we're working towards. I want to just get Klaudija in as well on this, and we're sort of maybe back to, you know, your academies and the training that you've set up for particularly women through your work with women in travel. Maybe dive in a little bit further whilst we still got a few minutes left.
Yeah, it really is bringing these stories and different perspective into the mainstream organizations like TUI, like Expedia, like Google, exactly. Just to give you some examples, in London, where we run these trainings and cohorts, usually there are women that are coming from different heritage. As you know, London is a very multicultural destination, and we have woman coming from Ethiopia, where she speaks about how she immersed into the community and how she's bringing her community. Ethiopian community, and sorry, I just lost my thought.
That's okay.
But really, basically what I'm saying is that for mainstream companies like TUI to partner with social enterprises or big media companies like National Geographic, where they're bringing, going into the destination, storytelling to mainstream customers, especially in the sun and beach destinations, where usually TUI customer goes and enjoys the sea, enjoys the food, but they don't immerse themselves into the local community. So, for example, in Antalya, there is a tour that is built together with National Geographic in TUI that goes into the nomadic lifestyle and going beyond what Antalya represent as a sun and beach destination. Apologies of losing my thought.
We totally got it, and it's a wonderful initiative, may I just say. And yeah, please keep it up. Please keep up the good work there. We are sort of slowly beginning to wrap up, because of course we've got other panels and other keynotes to invite to the stage as well. But as we wrap up, rather than sort of say, the bigger question, what organizational changes should an organization do? Because they are very long answers, and we wouldn't do it justice if we just spent 1 second on it. But can I ask you maybe to give our audience a couple of things that they could maybe just go back and start implementing tomorrow? Is that too much to ask of you? No, I think not. Olaf, what should our audience go and do that they're not already, if they're not already doing it tomorrow? A couple of things will do.
Yeah, first of all, there is legislation which may force you to be accessible,
Okay.
Especially in Germany and in Europe. So it's really time to act. And there's lots of information available about the target group, and just be curious, take them as a business potential, understand that there's a huge crowd of people which can be addressed, and as Neha said, can bring up to 30% more revenue. So I think you are sensitized now, and try to get information, because you have to have knowledge to create the appropriate products, and then you may have new customers and satisfied customers.
Great. Neha, quick one from you.
Okay, I'll just give you couple of actionable things. Add alt text to the images that you post on social media. Like this, everyone is on social media. This is the first thing you can do. Any image you post, add an alt text. ChatGPT can help you with that too. You don't have to write it yourself. Second, you can just add captions to all the videos that you post online so that people who are deaf can also understand what you're saying. By the way, if you don't know, the alt text was for blind users because they also use the internet, if you don't know, just like all of us here. Their iPhones, iPads. So my dad is blind, is a hearing impairment, and he uses iPad, Alexa, iPhone more than I do, to be honest. But then you have, is the content accessible for them is the question. So these two things you can start with.
Thank you.
And the last, one more thing. Yeah, just one line, just food for thought. So when you create things or products or services for disabled people, which are accessible for them, you are not creating accessibility only for them. You're creating a better experience for your non-disabled consumers as well. A lot of things that you use every day, your keyboard, your electric toothbrush, your automated gates, were all inventions for blind people. Inventions for people with disabilities, sorry.
Thank you so much.
Keep that in mind and just see who are you excluding in your daily life.
That is very, very good advice. Back to what you said about giving yourself as an example earlier. I'm going to try and do that a bit more. Klaudija, last but not least, darling.
Quick one. As individual, I think everything starts with us as individual. It doesn't matter where you work. As individual, if you don't see the change, the inclusivity within your organization, look outside. We don't have to just do what the organization and a company tells us to do. Look outside and partner with a social enterprise like Women in Travel or an NGO or whatever is close to your heart in terms of the cause, and sign up as a mentor, sign up as a volunteer, and start talking about it within your team meetings, within your all hands, and slowly create a change from within yourself, within bringing into the organization, and you will see that change then happen on a wider scale.
Thank you. Very, very great insight. Wonderful to have you here. Give them a hand. Klaudija, Neha, and Olaf, thank you very, very, very much.
Okay, we need to stand up.